is a track change. This is a challenge now for the drivers. This is a place which, for all intents and purposes, you can certainly say is one of those races where when you have limited time, limited resources, you've got to be out there at your very best from minute number one to minute last. For everyone, this is a learning curve because this track was not on any schedule at any point at any given time except for the start of last week. So the quick change is going to change everybody's perceptions here. We are at Silverstone Circuit, the national layout, and we're going to roll back the clock here on Forever Sim Racing because the time is 2011 in terms of our year, and it's going to be a very, very big race that's going to be happening as qualifying is currently underway for the British Sim Racers TCR Sunday Cup, which is here live and uninterrupted on Sunday, every Sunday at 8 p.m. BST and onwards here. It's James Berry in contribute as per usual, and joining me alongside in on cameras for us this week is Marco Barbanera. Some can say he's a pirate because his name translates literally to Mark Blackbeard. So Marco Barbanera doing a good job with the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. A massive thanks to everyone, though, who gets it done for us. Firstly, to Force X Designs, who do wonders with exactly what they've done in terms of our graphical package here today, as well as so much more that happens here over the course of this. And of course, a big thanks goes to Violet as well for the music that you have heard opening up. You can catch her music and her stuff on Spotify and on Bandcamp as well. We're talking about track conditions here today. 36 degrees at the moment to start on track, 20 in the air, mostly cloudy. It's going to be a difficult qualifying session, but times can definitely go quicker. Winds blowing in from the north here, 3 kilometers an hour only, with a very nice rising humidity at a very modest 48%. So this is going to be a tricky challenge in the early stages, and qualifying times are already coming down as Ashton Beard has just moved up top of the timing stands on a 1 minute 0.362. Some drivers were hitting in and around that 1 minute time and actually going under, so 59 seconds. Maybe the time that we're looking at here, which is a very, very quick lap time around this Silverstone national track. It's only 6 corners, but it is probably some of the best corners that you will find. Of course, we're using the Nationals layout because we're up at the top of the track here at Copse Corner in the big pits that they have there. We go through Copse, and when we get to Maggots, we're going to do a big, huge right onto the Wellington Straight, which you all know all too familiarly from the new circuit layout, which is Silverstone's had from 2012 onwards. But from there, it is how that track then comes back to Brooklands and Luffield through Woodcote and onto the start-finish once again. But it is Beard and Holmes at the front of the field, and McNally in 4th position, which means Excite Energy have 3 cars inside of the top 4 at the moment. We have one vehicle who is breaking all of that. It's Jamie Ayres in the number 46 machine at the moment, as he currently makes his way down the Wellington Straight at the moment in his Momo machine, trying to absolutely push it to the limit at the moment. As we say that, though, John Roberts has put his Boosted car into pole position, 1 minute 0.312. He's getting his tyres up to the temperature, and we were saying around this track, or at most tracks, some sorts of vehicles, Peter Van Gool goes 3rd and Wouter van Essen moves into 4th position. We've been saying how this track is all about get the tyres up to temperature, how every track. And normally we say around a lap which is 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes long, it takes 2 or 3 laps to get that car up to temperature. Here, it may be longer. It may be 4 laps in a stint. It may even be 5 laps to go. Try and find the tyres. And Adam McNally certainly found the tyres. The boy from the Toon side, so to speak, in Newcastle. He's found himself on pole now. 1 minute 1:09.5. They are edging and creeping ever closer to that wonderful 1 minute barrier, which surely is going to be broken. 30 minutes of qualifying, we said already, and of course the same format applies for racing action here today. 2 lots of 15-minute races, and of course a 30-minute feature to end the proceedings for the night, and 2 reverse grids, which are always so key and careful, as Cedric Nebelshek moves to the top of the timing stands. He made a lot of friends through race 3 at Laguna Seca at the opening rounds of the championship, but he is on the front at the moment, 1 minute, 0.057. Talk about how to get up to the top. Certainly has proved his worth in the immediacy at this stage on track. So good work at the moment from him to get that time in, and to get that time in incredibly quickly out on this track. And this is going to be a tough track to put a lap time in, mainly because of how short a lap is around here. It may be 4.23 kilometers, but it is a very fast 4.23 kilometers where you don't have too many braking zones, and actually finding space on track is going to be very difficult at the moment. Currently 38 drivers have set times, 41 currently in the session at the moment. So they're going to have a big challenge if they want to try and bring those times down in, as Brian Holmes has just moved up into second position, just 1/10 off of where he needs to be right now in order to improve, in order to get up to where he needs to be at this stage. But keep an eye out on the two V-Racer cars. Nicole Foggy and Johnny Brandon have been working together. We all know that Johnny Brandon has a plan. Johnny Brandon always has a plan, and he will be looking to execute that plan, although he did tell me that luck is a big skill factor in terms of what his plan is. And a 1 minute, 186 moves himself to thousands behind his teammate who just went faster. So they're both working together, and V-Racer now have two vehicles inside of the top 4, which would be very good. Dominic Savicki is currently classified in 6th position at the moment and having a very good run of things right now. And this is going to be one of the closest qualifying sessions you will see all year, because at the moment the top 22 split by just 0.7 of a second. The top 33 split by just 1 second overall out on track, as sometimes are starting to come in even closer and further as drivers look to improve. Hefford has improved his way up into 15th position. The likes of Ashley Beard is now back down into 7th, and the top 10 being currently rounded out by Robin Haase at the moment in the Rennsport Online 394 machine. So some good work at the moment from Rennsport. They've got one on the pole, and 9th and 10th locked up with Niels Carstensen in 9th. And you'll see drivers take a really shallow line to the final corner. No improvement this time for Robin Haase as he goes and searches for another lap to work in favour. But this is going to be a true battling track as well, as drivers will be looking to try and use this track to their advantage. Got to be absolutely switched on, as Johnny Brandon's the first man to break the minute mark. 59.907. Johnny Brandon's number 5 goes to the top, and the next stage for V-Racer will be to make sure that Nicole Foggy can join in the same stage as this one. If you're looking at the times on the right-hand side and you're thinking, oh, it's just a couple of numbers that don't mean anything, that's the difference in gaps between everybody out at the moment here in qualifying. So, for example, Nebelshek is a 10.5 behind Johnny Brandon. A 10th behind him is Brian Holmes, and then you can see just how close those gaps are at the moment out on track. And a big thank you to everyone who is watching this at the moment, because this is going to be big key racing that we'll be seeing for the majority of this one, as Nicole Foggy immediately finds himself in second. So V-Racer move 1 and 2. Nicole Foggy 59.997, having a great bit of time there. It's only the two V-Racer boys who have found those terms, and they can go quicker, but this track does need the 15 minutes to heat up, and we are heading towards that halfway stage in qualifying in the next 3 minutes that we see at the moment. Of course, Nicole Foggy, your championship leader, after the opening round's worth of action. He picked up 2 wins at Laguna Seca, and he ran away from the field in race 3. Couldn't quite run away in race 1, but he had a very solid race 2 to add to his name, as well as everybody looked to try and find a battle in their favour. That second race was won by the 72 as Steve Hefford, whose Momo car is currently classified as 16th position at the moment, and that's going to be okay at the moment. Outside of the 8th row is always going to be a difficult bit of a challenge. Drivers who are doing well in qualifying at the moment: Chris Danes in 15th on a 1 minute, 0.455, just half a second at the moment off of pole position. Still a little bit of time to find, and once again together on track together, the two Apex boys, Andrew Woodhouse and Adam Barth, in that dual-inspired livery, both Apex and Evolution Racing Team. They find themselves locking out the 12th row at the moment, and it is Woodhouse who has the bragging rights in terms of commentary at the moment between them. So we'll see how the improvement goes, but saying that, Adam Bath has just moved quicker on the Devil's number. 1 minute, 0.666. Ties his time with Dan Blake in the 127 machine, who's driving around, I believe, for year one. Out on track for this one, and that is the correct answer. So he'll be driving for year one, trying to get those times in. But Nicole Foggy improves his time, but does not improve his position. He's tucked up in the draft, but Johnny Brandon ultimately is doing just enough at the moment to stave off that challenge as they look to break away from the field. You need drafting partners, but you're not going to get much help from a drafting partner if your name just so happens to be Adam and Enzo McNally, currently in 5th position. He got a massive slide going through Maggot's corner, and that so very easily took the lap away. You have to be pinpoint around here, and there's something very interesting. Wait for the gap in the track, which Chris Daines and Richard Haynes, the two teammates here, both representing the SimTech team, are trying to do, and they're trying to make sure that they've got gap out on track so they can go out, get some clear air, clear space, go out and make a lap time work. It's so difficult to make that happen out on this circuit. But let's look a little bit further down the order here in terms of times that people are trying to put in. The slowest time at the moment is being set by Steve Cooley in the year one car. He's on a 103.1, but he's struggling to find, I think, the time to really improve. You've got a couple of drivers down the order that you wouldn't necessarily expect, both being Julian Janowski and Kip Stevens, who are both looking to get up to speed here instead of struggling around out on track. So there's always that potential that they get those tires into a good position and they can start making pushes up through right when they need to. Janowski making a push over to the line. He's had a lot of success with the British sim racers in the past. He's had a couple of World Series crowns to his name. He's certainly got very good pace, but a 101.615 does not prove that. He stays in 39th position overall in terms of time, but we're now starting to hit that brick wall in terms of session where those times get that little bit more difficult. The track rubbers in and you start looking to find just a little bit more pace, which I think a few drivers aren't quite finding. Carl Jacquelet is someone who has found that time. He's up in 16th position right now as Andrew Woodhouse crosses the line and moves up to 17th with a very good time, 1 minute, 0.464. He's 2,000 short of Jacquelet, but be very pleased in terms of the positions that they've got. Top 10 on the left-hand side of your screen. Johnny Brandon and Nicole Foggy are front and center. Cedric Nebelshek in 3rd at the moment. Then it's Brian Holmes and Adam McNally. Dominic Savicki in 6th. Ashley Beard in 7th. John Roberts 8th. And then it's Niels Carstensen and Robin Haase who round out the top 10. On the outside looking in of that top 10, though, is Peter Van Gool, who is in a really nice position at the moment in his white Momo car, red with the white sponsorship. Every Momo driver has a different wheel arch base color and a different colored Momo to deal with as well. And at the moment, 11th position he can be very happy with in terms of times, because as we all know, anything can happen with these sorts of vehicles. And in the Murrayism that is the life of a commentator on racing or sim racing, anything can happen, and it usually does when you get into racing like this. But we are over that halfway stage. Now, this is where you've got to consolidate lap times and start gearing up for maybe testing race pace, testing starts, things like that. No clutch in these vehicles. Always very difficult off the standing start, which, of course, the official series, the IMSA Michelin Pilot Series even. Pirate Series? God, I'm starting to lose it here. The Pilot Series very much does not. It's rolling start for there because of the fact that there is no clutch in these sorts of vehicles, so it's a very different challenge to get yourself through. Maybe you just need to draft the right people, which I think Dan Brown is at the moment. He's part of that V-Racer team, along with Nicole Foggy and Johnny Brandon, although it is worth saying this right now, he is running very much the Immortal livery. It's two different styles of liveries that are going on between Dan Brown, Nicole Foggy and Johnny Brandon, so almost a case of a pro and an am team some may say. So we'll see what Dan Brown can do when he pushes over the line. He's currently down in 13th position, and a 102.9 will not do too much. This will be an out lap, so now try and push for this flying lap and get the time up forward for E-Racer. So effective as a team unit, and they have proved it in a Kia Optima so many times. They've proved it on so many different simulators. They've proved it on R-Factor. They've proved it on Assetto Corsa, and they're looking to do exactly the same when it comes to iRacing. Martin Sampson has moved up into 19th position in the Automet car. That's a good time from him. He knows what he's capable of doing, and that is a good increase in terms of positions. And looking at the two that we were talking about earlier, Kip Stevens and Julian Janowski, both of them have moved inside of the mid-20s, which now leaves David Ayers and Jim Flanagan as the last vehicles in 40th and 41st. So I just catch an eye of Jim Flanagan finding himself in the gravel, and this is one of the key factors which you look at when it comes to the gravel traps and the grass and things like that. This vehicle very much is a thrill to put in through the corners. Once you give it some grass though, or some gravel or something that's not tarmac, this vehicle runs on rollerblades. You cannot deal with this car running wide at any given point in time. This vehicle will not turn, and there is a reason why this vehicle comes fully equipped with a handbrake out on this track. So, time to place your bets here with 10 minutes remaining here in qualifying. The top 5 have remained unchanged, as it traditionally does in these sorts of races. Not for a very much, for quite a bit of time. So this is going to be a case of changing point. Who is going to find that changing point and knock on to the door with the next times? Because you're looking at drivers here who are a couple of tenths of a second back, maybe in the middle of the pack, could be in a good position. Jamie Ayres in a good position. He's moved up to 11th on a 1:357 as Martin Sampson, who was 19th, goes up to 13th position. 1:393. That's a very good time by Sampson standards as he looks to try and push on forward and show exactly what he is made of. He has done brilliantly there to get that time within 0.4 of a second of Johnny Brandon at the top of the standings, and he got the draft from the Haynes and Danes connection, which are trying to improve their times. Chris Dane 16th, Richard Haynes down in 22nd position, but Haynes very, very good when it comes to the reverse grid race. Eye out in races 2 and 3 for Richard Haynes to try and make progress through the field. Nebelshek will cross the line after abandoning a lap. It's a 1:14, so he's getting up to pace to try and get a lap, and he's got Carstensen behind trying to get in on the toe as well, and both of them trying to push to the biggest level possible. Of course, 1x instant points and 0x instant points become very crucial in this qualifying session. You cannot have any of them over the course of this lap, and you will see how drivers on the tarmac will use all of their runoff and a bit more. You don't cop an instant for running off the track that far, and that's why your drivers go over the white line on the right-hand side to try and pick up as much of a run into this Brooklands corner, and it is a big train of 5 going through here. Charles Kellyman's at the front of it, and actually he's acting as rolling roadblock a little bit at the moment, because there's Adam Barth and Brian Holmes and Ashley Beard and Anne McNally, and the Belshek's trying to get onto the back of it with Carstensen and Haase, and now you're starting cycling peloton mentality. Certain teams looking to get out on track together, working together at a very quick track like this and get the draft going, and a bit of miscommunication for a couple of them as they look to try and find just a few bits of improvements. Savicki and Roberts are two of those who are looking to try and find them, currently in 7th and 8th, only drivers inside of the top 10 who do not really have not really been using their teammates for much help of improvement as they go on through the next sections of track. So we'll see how they go on and if they can find any improvements on their time, which would have to be from ability, so to and speak. The top 30 currently being rounded out by Lowell Murray, who's down on pit road, 1:765. Lee Dima is currently 29th position, just ahead of him. A lot of drivers here on very similar time out on track, and in terms of matching times at the moment, there actually seems to be none, which is quite surprising for a track like this to see nobody tied on times. We saw it a little bit earlier, but not so much anymore, as drivers now only have 7 minutes to go out there and set their times. Maybe if you go out with 5 minutes to go, you can get in a big run of laps and you can start doing the Indianapolis scenario where you've only got 4 laps to go and it's average top speed, etc., etc., except instead of average top speed, it's fastest lap count. So many drivers out there at the moment. 10th to 15th, Haase in 10th, and then you got Ayers, Van Gool, Samson, Haynes, and Dan Brown currently scored in 15th position on a 1 minute .405. He's desperately trying to use that draft from his 2 teammates in front, Johnny Brandon and Nicole Foggy, try and make sure he gets himself into that position. But ultimately, at the moment, he is struggling to find the same pace as his very well-esteemed comrades who try and find that pace working for them. But 10th could mean so much. For example, you look at where Brown is now in 15th, 1/10 is good enough for a top 10. It's good enough for 8th position overall. Every single second, every single microsecond seemingly matters around this historic Silverstone circuit. We'll say now Circa 2011, of course, run in the historic version because, of course, this is a free track. It means that people don't have to pay more money to come in and race this series. And you, of course, too, can come and race this series if you really like the racing that you see going on. You can't do it right now, but what you can do is you can sign up, of course, to the British Sim Racer. Make sure that you get yourself in on the action, the brilliant action that is going on out on track here as drivers still search for just a little bit of lap time improvement around this track. Ashley Beard is certainly one of them. He has, over the last 5 minutes, moved up into 4th place and is now the leading driver in terms of those Excite Energy cars, which effectively you can say is just as good as any generic brand-sponsored energy drink or any Red Bull Racing esports team, or if Monster ever wants to get in, or Rockstar, or any other company that you can put into that mindset. Excite Energy at the moment currently in a very strong position, 4th, 5th, and 6th at the moment here in qualifying. But if you're going to try and get things right, you've got to try and do so right now. And this is where a drafting partner taking 2 to tango becomes very, very crucial indeed in terms of finding those times. Some drivers have just found a bit of improvement on times. Nebelshek has in terms of pace, but not position. 59.972. He needs 700ths of a second now to get into pole position, and he's just a bit short. Rounds the final corner, getting a lot of good draft here and using the wider line with Robin Haase to try and diamond off the corner and get the best run possible off of the exit. We'll see what Nebelshek and Haase are going to be able to do. Haase is going to cross the line. He does a 1 minute .6, and that will be for Nebelshek. No improvement in times for him. He ran off with an off-track incident point, and so he dropped a lot of time, and that lap effectively has to scratch from the record books. It's an abandoned lap indeed, but James Leggett has gained positions. He's up now into 21st place overall. He's done brilliantly. We were talking about Richard Haynes and how you got to keep an eye out on him. Well, he's just moved up to the 7th row, 1 minute .40. So he's doing some good jobs. Wouter van Essen is in 18th on a 1 minute .444, just behind Adam Bath. Currently finds himself in 17th position overall. But for all these time improvements that we're seeing from the mid to the late pack out on track, 41 drivers looking to take to this Silverstone circuit, we have not seen anybody else really challenge that top 10. Closest of all is Jamie Ayers, and Ayers not really working with teammates. Got a good drafting partner in front though, and that's Dominic Savicki here with 3 minutes to go. If he's going to find any improvements in terms of his time, then why not use the 8 machine as a way to push forward? That's what Dominic Savicki is going to be there and potentially useful in the next 2.5 minutes. And remember, when the timer expires here at Silverstone, they do have that ability to finish the lap, but Savicki blinking out a little bit ever so slightly, that will take the tow away here from James Ayers, and Ayers will now know that life is going to be a lot more difficult if the car in front's blinking, as there is a vehicle off, and actually Savicki's just caught that vehicle. Didn't quite see who it was. It was Carl Jacquelet in the Year 1 machine who had an almighty moment coming over the line. There was a slowed down Brown. He got out of the way and up, tank slapper, and no chance. And oh my goodness me, he had a massive hit on Peter Van Gool, who went spread eagle and took about 6 barrel rolls before he came to stop just before the gravel there at Copse Corner. It's not often you say gravel at Copse Corner anymore. Of course, Herman Tilke doing wonders with making everything as paved as possible, but that was a massive incident there in qualifying, and they've got to get out and back out racing very, very quickly if they want to get those lap times in. Anybody who would say who is on pit road in the next 30 seconds or so is not going to have another chance to go out, set another time, and that includes John Roberts at the moment, who's down there on the lane and not finding improvement. The likes of Carl Hardy out there not finding any improvement. Adam Buff and Julian Janowski will not go any quicker than what they have done at the moment. So, pressure time, minute to go. Now you start gearing up for that best lap and find improvement. Ashley Beard short by 1/10.5 over his lap in 4th place for the Excite Energy team. Needs a little bit more. Just a little bit more he needs. Not much, only a 1/10 and a bit more. It seems that it's 3 that are the best and the rest are very much the rest at this stage here in qualifying. 40 seconds remaining. Down onto lane goes Chris Danes, who will not go any quicker in terms of his times as he practices a pit entry. Van Gool runs wide, and that will be abandoned lap for him overall. Lee Diemer trying to set a time with Michael Bingham trying to follow in the draft. Bingham down in 38th position overall. No lap time set that time by, so this is his final chance. Who will be the last man over the start-finish line? That's going to be key in order to see who is going to be gaining that time, gaining those places. 10 seconds remain as Steve Hefford goes across the line on a 1:07. No improvement. 3 seconds, 2, 1. Cooley, I think, is the man who survives. So there's Joe Mitchell across the line, 1:01.3. Does not find improvement for himself. So keep looking backwards. Haase will not improve, but Adam Hedgecock will be looking for it as he crosses the line. What's he do? 1:08. No good. No dice at all there. In comes James Leggett and Robert Lundgren, the Scandinavian man, coming down in onto the lane. Nicole Foggy, though, in second. No draft. Dan Brown with draft. Let's see what these two V-Racer boys can do. Foggy needs to find 59.928. He did his time with draft, as did Johnny Brandon. Struggling with the draft. It is 1:01.3, and just there for Dan Brown, he finds himself on a 1:05, so no improvements there. Late times, trying to get themselves in. There's Charles Kellyman trying to get over the line. 1:01.3, no good. Needs to be in the 1 minute range. Ashley Beard crosses the line, 1:03. No good for him either. Was no good for Steve Hefford. Actually, was good for Steve Hefford, who moves up to 23rd position, but the final times come in, and that is practically almost everyone. Kip Stevens trying to get his last second times in as well, but this will be how the grid stacks up at Silverstone with practically everybody across the start-finish line. So it will be Johnny Brandon then on pole position with Nicole Foggy making it an all V-Racer front row with Cedric Nebelshek going from 3rd and Ashley Beard in 4th position. Brian Holmes will start this one on the 3rd row with Adam McNally making it an all Excite Energy 3rd row with Dominic Savicki and John Roberts in 7th and 8th place. Niels Carstensen and Robin Haase make Rennsport Online lock row 5 with Jamie Ayres and Peter Van Gool sharing row 6. 13th and 14th, Martin Sampson and Richard Haynes with Dan Brown and Carl Jacquelet there in 15th and 16th. Adam Barth wins best of the commentators in 17th with Wouter van Essen in 18th. Chris Danes and Andrew Woodhouse round out the top 20 overall. 21st will go to James Leggett with Adam Hedgecock 22nd. Then you got Steve Hefford and Dan Blake, Robert Lundgren and Kip Stevens with Julian Janowski starting 27th, Charles Kellyman 28th. Top 30 rounded out by Craig Harris and Lee Diemer with Lorne Murray and Andy Maxwell 31st and 32nd. Paul Burgess and Carl Hardy then with Joe Mitchell and Anthony Jacobson. Jim Flanagan starts 37th with Michael Bingham having technical issues. Probably will not make the start in 38th. Steve Cooley, Adrian Hendy and David Ayers make 41. Take to the starting grid for 15 minutes worth of racing action. An important 15 minutes, and that run to Copse, so very, very crucial out on track. You look at drivers right towards the back of the field. They'll be lining up around the Woodcote corner and almost all the way over to that final corner out on track. Of course, that Lutterfield corner that becomes so very, very crucial. But the pole man is Johnny Brandon. He's the man with a plan. He always seems to have a plan, but you know from last week, he had a good tangling with the man who's gridded up directly behind him, Cedric Nebelshek, who will want to get in and start racing hard very, very early on. Nicole Foggy is ever the serene Scotsman as he looks to try and continue on his championship push. And watch out for Excite Energy. It's Excite by name, Excite by nature, sometimes by the way they drive. Boost Ted looks good with John Roberts. Savicki has a very good chance as well. 2 minutes up on the clock. Lights on top of the iRacing gantry. And race 4 of the championship finds itself underway. And how tricky are these starts going to be at the front of the field? Johnny Brandon gets away okay, but being chased down by both Foggy and Nebelshek. It seems a slow start then for Brian Holmes again as Adam McNally as he struggles into the opening section. Nice and clean as they make their way through Cops. 3 wide in the background with one of the Apex cars there. That one being Adam Barth, already looking to get in and making some actions. They head to Maggots for the very first time. On the brakes they go into the long right-hander, the draft track suiting all, and a little bump there by Nicole Foggy at the front as he looks to try and push forward his teammate. They all take the big wide line. Nebelshek already trying to run himself side by side as they make their way towards Brooklands for the very first time. They battle behind as well as they all look for positions around the outside for the race lead, and Foggy's still got the inside. He'll pick it up. Wide line taken. Cold Tyre struggling. Then for Ashley Beard, who loses the position to Brian Holmes straight away, and that is a change between the Excite boys, who are still 4th, 5th and 6th. Nebelshek still looking on the outside. A vehicle off his Automet colours, and I think that may just be Kip Stevens, who's run himself into a few troubles down the order, and I think it may just well be Martin Sampson even. So Martin Sampson drops a massive number of positions. The car goes off sideways there. That's Andy Maxwell getting just about back on track, as it is very much pack mentality as they start off their second lap worth of racing. Expect 15 odd laps then from the opening go around here as they go through. The battles still going on up and down this field, but for second they're going at the moment as Nicole Foggy tries to defend with Johnny Brandon, his good teammate, there just in front. What can you do if you try and make this move? As there is Nebelshek again, just looking on the outside, looking in, as there's a huge slide coming in from one of the Excite cars. McNally finds himself in the gravel trap and will take forever and an age to get back onto track. He's coming on the racing line as cones get scattered everywhere as he tries to go through. McNally will come out with Jamie Ayers currently out on track, so that drops him down to 15th place. Overall, not part of the script as Adam Barth finds himself just ahead. They're too wide and almost too deep here as Dan Brown tries to get past Cedric Nebelshek, who's really dropped off then and has made his own mistakes. But you've got Chris Daines there, Wouter van Essen as well. And, well, we'll just keep an eye out on what happened to Cedric Nebelshek through that final section. He was right up, but he made the mistake. He actually made contact with Brian Holmes, and Holmes just gave him a bump out of the way and said, you know what, you're going to have to fight this one incredibly hard to get back into this race at any given point in time. His teammate in front of him now, Niels Carstensen, looking to get past the gentleman John Roberts, and can he get himself a way around? You bet he can. Nebelshek fighting around the outside of Peter Van Gool, and Van Gool's going to give him no room there on that outside, but then has to leave it because there's Nebelshek down the inside, and once again having to play the recovery card early on in the racing action. Your 2 V-Racer cars at the front, though, have both checked out of town. They're getting out of Dodge, and they have themselves a 1.2 second lead over Ashley Beard, as coming out to pit road with the one fast repair that's available in this series is Charles Kellyman, looking to try and keep himself on the leading lap, but he won't, so he'll have to start from the back on some reverse grid. Struggles, though, for Brian Holmes, who has dropped a lot of time, and I think he may have just cut the corner a little bit too finely there through turn number 1, potentially, because that looks very much slow down penalty-like, and he's lost 4 positions for his troubles, and getting back up right now, I think, trying to look here. Dan Brown there, Wouter van Essen, likes of Chris Daines and Richard Haynes, the Daines and Haynes connection going together quite nicely. But again, under pressure, Brian Holmes, Dan Brown not close enough, but John Roberts now having to stave off the RSO train at the moment, which is trying to become a train of 3. Robin Haase currently there in 5th position. Haven't talked about Dominic Savicki. He's there in 4th. He's done well at the moment to get himself up into that 4th position, but behind that, Niels Carstensen multi-393s his way with Cedric Nebelshek, who comfortably makes a way through. So good coordination for the Swiss outfit team that looks to try and make that push. Of course, they look to try to do their best, but Carstensen runs a little bit wide through Kopp's corner. There you've got 30 instant points to play with. Anything above 20, though, and you are copping some penalty points in your championship, and that's what Nebelshek struggled with in the 30-point race. Side by side, a little bit further down in the background, here's Adam Barth trying to get past Jamie Ayers. This one going on for the top 15, but they've got the likes of Danes and co. But losing the draft now is Adam Barth on that inside line as the track clouds over and it gets a little bit cooler and this track gets a bit difficult. Oh, gives him a hip check. Oh, Lord, maybe we'll say Adam Barth, as he traditionally has a tendency to do in some tight racing. And around the outside, tries to look, little bit of contact there with the Momo car, and Steve Hefford's going to give his teammate a bump here, and oh, that's a huge bump, and Adam Barth gets turned. Does he avoid the pit wall? Does he avoid coming back onto track? Yes, he just about does, and he's got to find gear straight away as they all avoid him in 6s and 7s, trying not to hit him, and they have done. So Adam Barth, with a huge moment, still hasn't managed to be able to get himself going. He waits for the field to go through, which is some very good heads-up driving as the battle for the leaders changed, as Nicole Foggy now takes advantage, but the draft has been so useful here for Ash Beard over that last lap, gained a 10th on Nicole Foggy. He's brought that gap down under a second, so Foggy will now try and break away. Johnny Brandon now will try and play second position as Ashley Beard will try and give Excite Energy something to whoop and holler about, especially after the Excite actual team had their break-in over the past week, lost a Simrig, lost a couple vans, and that was not good for them. So hopefully they find all of their stuff returned pretty darn soon. This big battling though in the middle of the pack as Wouter van Essen currently under pressure here. Brian Holmes trying to go to the outside as Haynes and Danes are both trying to get in on this, and Haynes is having himself the netcode bubble lag, so he's blinking in and out. That's not making life easy. Contact round is almost going to go Peter Van Gool as he sees both his Momo teammates go through and an Excite Energy car as well. So Adam McNally looking to gain positions back through as just in front of them, Van Essen still trying to hold that position and get himself through, but does he have the overlap still? No, he doesn't. Brian Holmes will take the draft away with John Roberts trying to get past Dan Brown and get that position sorted, as just behind that, Ayers still fighting it out then with Chris Danes on the inside. Got to give a push to Steve Hefford. You've got to look every which way. Positions can go so quickly around here, and just like that, Danes gets the position. Now Ayers moves to the outside here at Luffield Corner, trying to make the move and still can't quite just sort that one out at this point in time. So some good scrapping going on at the moment out on track as that middle pack becomes the key bastion for everyone to try and get in and fight with for 8th, 9th, 10th and downwards here in this field, as Steve Hefford gains the position on Adam McNally, who runs a little bit wide. Hedgecock in the boosted machine trying to make a run, and Van Gool's got the Uber run as he looks to try and get through. The Dutchman is very much flying as he gets on the brakes in towards the right of Maggots, but again, that outside line, you need to run off of the exit to try and make sure that it works for you, and ultimately Peter Van Gool can make that outside line work. He's through there on Adam Hedgecock, who's stuck on the outside, but no guarantees. That train goes all the way back to Craig Harris and Andrew Woodhouse here, who was sat 22nd and 23rd, trying to get a way in. McNally down the inside once again, almost contact there with Steve Hefford as Heff tries to run that outside track. Tries to run that inside track, and it works for him. He keeps the position just for the time being as things start to cool down. The battles at the front, though, top three split by just 0.8 of a second. Ashley Bidd did a 1 minute flat that last time by. Nicole Foggy knows that he is very much being caught out on track as wide goes Niels Carstensen in front of Dan Brown and co. Brian Holmes looking to try and find a way past the gentleman, John Roberts, and he's gone in far too deep. He's made the mistake. He caught on the curb. He's caught John Roberts, who loses 2 positions. That was not good, and that is going to be a huge loss of time. There's more contact there as Van Gool gets the tap from Robert Lundgren, and that's going to be positions lost for Hefford as well in all of that. Brian Holmes comes out with Flanagan and Dima right down the order, 26th, 27th place. No real goodness coming out of that little scrap, and all from one missed braking zone and a tiny bit of grass on the inside on the run to Maggot's corner. Top 3 though, they stay line astern, and they've got themselves 5 3/4 minutes to go out there, so that's 6 laps to try and find the magical time to make those moves. And if you're up against the V-Racer machine, if you're Ashley Beard, you've got to start making moves now to set up on Nicole Foggy. First and foremost, you've got to get past Johnny Brandon. He's got the plan at the moment, which is act as your rear gunner to the championship leader, Nicole Foggy, at this point in time, who is starting to just slightly stretch his legs a little bit as they head down the Wellington Straight for their 10th revolution of this circuit. But it's still not over and done within the middle of the pack. Some good gainers at the moment, up 10 places, Kip Stevens, and he's on the back of Hedgecock and Roberts and McNally and Ayres and Danes, and that goes all the way to Wouter van Essen now, as that group has ever so slightly splintered. But you have to keep an eye out on the battle for 4th and 5th as well, and also 6th, because Savicki and Haase are being reeled in here by Nebelshek in that scrap, so both of them will be looking to try and gain position. But it's so difficult when you're running on rails to try and gain that time back, which so many drivers, I think, are trying to look for, trying to find, and trying to hope that it's all going to be in their favour come the end of racing. Some other good gainers in this field. James Leggett is up 4 positions and has been very, very quiet in the way that he's run this race for the time being, as the sun peeks back out behind the very mostly cloudy circuit that we are seeing at the moment. Is there a chance for Ashley Beard on the brakes into the Brooklands corner? He'll start thinking about it on the brakes, because they're starting to drop Nicole Foggy here, and Foggy may have the win, and this may just be a battle for 2nd position out overall, which is not what was wanted here by Ashley Beard. He wants to fight for that race victory for Excite, but ultimately, I don't think the pace is doing too many favours. Carstensen under pressure, though, for 7th place, as Dan Brown looks to try and find himself a way through. In front of that, multi 393 again, as Cedric Nebelshek has been let through by Robin Haase, who decides that Cedric needs the top 5 and gets it. Every point early on counts a little later down the road. Here comes Dan Brown thinking of the move at Copse. Got to be brave to do it at Copse, and he cannot get the move done then at Copse corner. He will have to wait for a different place in time to try and make that move happen out on the road. So Foggy, Brandon, Beard, Savicki, Nebelshek, and 3 laps to go across the line. Is that your top 5? Yes, it very much is. Wouter van Essen, though, under pressure for the final 2 spots inside of the top 10. Someone's going to have to be unlucky here in this situation. Haynes and Danes working in tandem, trying to find a way through. Do Ricardo's onto that move? It's bold and brave, but they're going to change positions, are they, ever so slightly? No team orders there. So Haynes and Danes, they swap their roles, as now they try and attack Van Essen. Maybe it's Dane's turn to try and make that move. Still Carstensen in front of that is holding off Dan Brown, and is holding off Dan Brown very, very well. Those top 3, though, have stayed in a line and have not changed their position at all. There's been no chance of making a move. Definitely not close enough just yet, as again, Nicole Foggy with a ½ a second buffer around this track. It's all you need around here. You don't need to break draft here. You just need to break a lunge attempt on the final couple of laps, which I think that Nicole has managed to sort out nicely with Johnny Brandon out on track at the moment. So who can chase the final few positions down and gain? Here's James Leggett, though, battling for 16th. Kip Stevens under a bit of pressure, but he's got all of the draft from Adam Hedgecock, and Leggett now gets back in the draft. Now needs to try and look for a dive potentially here at Brooklands corner, but Kip is an elephant that never forgets and has raced here so much. And there's 2 bumps to the Automech car, which runs ever so slightly wide. I've had enough of sitting behind you. Let me through. I'm quicker than you, says James Leggett, but he's not finding anything at all. Still, though, further in front, Chris Danes still trying to find his way through on Wouter van Essen with 2 laps to go. Huge defend, though, into Copse corner, and it'll be around the outside that the move's going to have to be done here. Can he get it sorted as Haynes wants in? And oh, the nose almost chopped there from Van Essen there on Chris Danes. Richard Haynes wanting to get in on this as well. Here's Dan Brown just in front of them, trying to go around the outside at Maggot's corner, and they come together, but they hold it together very crucially, and that is just the tap needed there for Niels Carstensen to now continue to fight this one all the way up to the Brooklands corner. Will Dan Brown give him any room at this section as the white flag will come along, this time by for Nicole Foggy, who leads this race. So Carstensen, big wide line, and again, chop the nose on the exit. Good driving, Dan Brown. He gains the position. White flag comes out, though, here for one Nicole Foggy, who's looking for his third win in 4 different races here in the Sunday Cup. Brought to you by Forever Sim Racing at BSR TCR. And now, what can Johnny Brandon do? Or Ashley Beard? None of them in any form of position to go out there and make a move. Van Essen has lost a lot of time over the course of this lap. He's dropped 3 positions, and he's dropped them after contact heading through at Brooklands corner. Caught on the outside, and a very opportunistic move from Richard Haynes, and he caught a bit of a netco contact, and it didn't work at all. 2 corners remain, technically 3 for Nicole Foggy, as he now rounds himself through the Brooklands corner. Luffield comes up next, and there is no chance of a dive at Luffield, and it's a drag race which will not be a fair fight. Nicole Foggy has done it again and has cemented himself with favourite status as he wins here the first race at Silverstone. Round 4 is all his. Johnny Brandon second. Ashley Beard picks up a well-deserved podium. Savicki drove absolutely flawlessly in terms of his perspective. Danes and Haynes come together, both with a top 10 to their name. McNally doing well in terms of that fight too, as the rest of the drivers try and battle in. Issues going on for Brian Holmes trying to get past Andy Maxwell. He certainly couldn't find a way through as they made their final pushes over to the start-finish line. And we do have some side-by-siders. Janowski just about holds off Anthony Jacobson for position. So some good battling all the way to the end. But classified results are going to be as follows. So it's Nicole Foggy then who picks up the big win in 15 minutes and 16 seconds, and he does so by just 3/10, slightly under, against teammate Johnny Brandon. They switch positions from their grid stalls. It's 3rd position for Ashley Beard come the end in a clean opening run, with Dominic Savicki there in 4th and Cedric Nebelshek rounding out the top 5. Robin Haase gets 6th place with Dan Brown 7th, Niels Carstensen 8th, and the Danes and Haynes connection 9th and 10th place between them, working as a great tandem unit despite some contact. It's Adam McNally who's been sideways in the opening couple of laps, and he's done well to get 11th overall. Wouter van Essen there, the big loser in that battle with Haynes and Danes, gets only 12th place. Adam Hedgecock 13th, with John Roberts, the gentleman, dropping backwards 6 places to 14th overall, with James Leggett and Kip Stevens up 6 and 10 positions, respectively, 15th and 16th. Jamie Ayres, Peter Van Gool, Craig Harris, and Jim Flanagan round out the top 20. Brian Holmes struggled in 22nd, as these are the best of the rest, likes Joe Mitchell, 24th, Lord Murray in 26th position overall. Janowski finishes 28th, the likes of Martin Sampson drops wildly back to 31st position after the opening laps. No love for a commentator. Adam Bath beats out Andrew Woodhouse, but both of them 35th and 36th, needing good reverse grids. Dan Blake, Efford, and Charles Kellyman, the only driver a lap down in that race. He will not be part of the reverse grid. Michael Bingham did not take to start with a disconnection issue. But we take you to a reverse grid right now. We're going to spin a lucky wheel, because this is how the grid is going to stack up for the next round of the championship. This spinny wheel. And there will be a number out there somewhere that we are hoping to try and get, and we're trying to manage to find a way for you. I'm listening for my director here to see if we can get that number. If we can't, then we will apologize, and we'll try and get it to you in the commercial break, as 40 is going to be the number that we hear. So 40 is the reverse grid number. It won't be Charles Kellyman, though, because of the fact that he's a lap down. So this will be Steve Hefford on pole position. Effectively, it's the worst possible thing you want if you just won the opening race. It's a full reverse grid. We'll be back in a moment here with Forever Sim Racing, because race 2 of the night and round 5 of the championship comes up after this.
shadows dancing through the air. Her breath congeals before her eyes. The snow falls inside to the bitter beating of her heart.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the BSR TCR Sunday Cup at the moment, and racing action around this track has been really, really good in the opening stages, and we'll see just how important this next round will be. The race, if I can get some words, if I stop reading whilst I try and talk, if we see just how good this race is going to be. If anything that race 1 was going to say, race 2 was going to be a very interesting battle for the next stage of this one. Some very good racing we saw in the early stages, but I think quite a few drivers want to make sure that this second race runs in this next section. So it's a big reverse grid. It's a full reverse grid. It's a very important reverse grid, as many drivers who did not get the best opportunity in the world in that opening race now get that big chance in the second one. And once again, right near the pointy end, as he was at the last race that we saw, the first reverse at the Circuit Laguna Seca at WeatherTech Raceway, Steve Hefford finds himself in a very good position. Watch out as well for the two commentators, that being Adam Barth and Andrew Woodhouse. Both of them will be looking to push Apex up as far as they possibly can, and every single battle is going to be so crucial. Expect the likes of Nebelshek, Foggy, and co are all going to push their way through the field and try and gain as many positions as possible, and some may say that this stage of the racing is going to be the messy part over 15 minutes. This is the tough sprint, some may say. The fact that you don't have to fight, or you actually do have to fight a lot harder in this one than you would say in a 30-minute long race. So I think the drivers understand better than anybody else what you have to do is be good, and be good incredibly quickly, incredibly fast, and make sure that you are not making any mistakes out on track. We saw how it hurt drivers like Brian Holmes, and it really hurt drivers like Adam McNally, who tried to go through as the XVR team, as I get well informed about the difference between V-Racer and VXR. They're going to try and get the best runs possible, so Foggy and Brandon are looking to try and make that push and show exactly what they are capable of by running themselves all the way through the field. But there are so many tricky characters that come to this Silverstone National Circuit, circa 2011, and they want to try and show just what they are capable of. Both drivers, or in fact all drivers, want to come away from this second and third race with victories, but the only way you can do that is just by staying so calm, so collected here, hoping that this race falls into favour. We're just 10 seconds away though now from the start of race 2 in the gridding up process, which only takes just a minute without hesitation, deviation, or anything else of the like, or repetition even, so to speak. But this is going to be crucial as the time does expire. This is how the grid is going to stack up then for racing action of round 5 of this championship here, brought to you at Silverstone National here with Forever Sim Racing. Charles Kellyman, who got the full reverse, he was within the lap, so he does actually get the pole position. Steve Hefford starts alongside with Dan Blake and Steve Cooley third and fourth. The commentators, Woodhouse and Barth, are on the third row, with David Ayres and Adrian Hendy on row 4. Row 5 see Paul Burgess and Martin Sampson, Carl Hardy and Anthony Jacobson on row 6. Row 7, Julian Janowski and Carl Jackalette, with Lorne Murray and Robert Lundgren. Joe Mitchell and Lee Deemer start row 9. Row 10 is Maxwell and Flanagan. Looking down the rest of the grid, you got Harrison, Van Gool, Ayres and Leggett and Roberts, Hedgecock and Van Essen. Then you got McNally, Haynes and Danes, the connection. Carstensen, Brown, Harpser, Nebelshek, Savicki, Beard, Brandon, Foggy, and Michael Bingham will have to start this one right from the very back, as he was in not a brilliant position overall after failing to make the start. There's the green flag though, and there's the getaway. Charles Kellyman really struggling here, will be swarmed by the year 1 cars, and both of the Apex cars struggle, and Steve Hefford didn't get the best of starts. What a run from Steve Cooley, who's going to take the lead into Copse Corner. Can he slow it down though? No, he can't. Hefford runs wide. Now the other year 1 car's going to try and get through. Dan Blake wants to take the race lead, and Woodhouse moves up onto the podium and pull in position number 3. Already positions needing to be changed early on. The mid-pack always going to be very dangerous as they all jostle for position, looking to try and find as much as they can. Little bumping and banging between some of the boost head machines in the background, but we are all clean through that opening section. They swarm around specific drivers. Steve Cooley dropping backwards and is being gobbled up by the pack, so to speak, but it's a breakaway of 3 as Andrew Woodhouse now tries to attack Dan Blake, and in the background a big shunt and a big spin, and 4 or 5 vehicles getting caught up in that one of whom I believe was going to be not in the best position at all. Didn't quite catch who it was, and there's one vehicle going very slow. You've got to get a replay of this one. It's David Ayres who gets caught up in all of that. Keeping an eye on just how big that incident was in the background. It was 5 going in, and there was a huge bit of contact, and I think everyone just decided time to play Skittles as they made their way through into that section. But dramas at turn 1 as one of the year 1 cars has just gone off. That, I believe, is Carl Jackalette who's struggling, and there's another vehicle in the grass right now, and I think that is going to be Jamie Ayres who manages to slow it up in front of Haynes and continue going. Some big gains then in the opening lap as Adam Barth in 5th position scraps it out with Janowski and Burgess trying position in favour here over these 15 minutes and these laps, which are so crucial here to try and get right. Adam Buff back into position and has done very well, but look at the chase. It was Carl Hardy who caused the big incident and again messes up the braking zone. Go careful on the rejoin. Bang! And he gets some contact there with, I believe that is Robert Lundgren, I think he's come together with. And ultimately, this is going to allow Adrian Hendy the chance now to battle. And on the side of all of this is John Roberts, who's having a very good run in these early goings and is up to 10th place after starting 26th on the grid. And no, there's the big contact. And both of them will go on at Copse Corner. Van Gool will take advantage as Roberts has to hit the brakes. They've got to be careful about the rejoin as they now move 3 wide. Bit of contact with the Automet car there in the middle of that. That was Martin Sampson as they swarm this mid-pack. It's where the big battles happen. This is where the big boys fight. And now RSO wants in, and they're going to be 4 wide. No, there's contact in the middle of that. One of the RSO cars gets turned around. Robin Haase was involved in it as they're 4 wide now. Down the back straight, we haven't paid attention to the leading battle, which at the moment is still currently held by Dan Blake. And there's the big one, and off goes 2 more. One of them an RSO car, and that is not good at all. And there is Adam Hedgecock caught up in that. An Automet car was caught in there too. That was Nebelshek who got caught up, and not too happy at all with the way that one ended. And big dramas. Hefford, I think, may have jumped the start. He dives down onto pit road then to take a pit stop as Adam Barth makes contact then with Paul Burgess, and Burgess is moved to one side as it's currently a 2-car breakaway at the front of the field. Dan Blake and Andrew Woodhouse both need to work to get away, but it is very much Dan Blake who's a 10th of a second quicker a lap, but it's now Janowski in 3rd position as Charles Kellyman runs a little bit wide. The pack forming behind, though, are so desperate to fight and scrap and claw and do everything in their power that they're going to be looking every which way to try and make some moves. Adrian Hendy, Jim Flanagan, James Leggett, all together, all trying to have a good little fight as down the inside, Wout van Essen starts thinking about making the move. And big wiggle there from one of the boosted cars. And there's 3 off in the grass. Roberts is one of them. Another one, I think, is going to be Hayne. And the 3rd one is Van Gool. So that's not going to be good at all. In fact, it's Jamie Ayres who was off there. So they all run into issues as this mid-pack has been scrapping non-stop. And there'll be a lot of protest coming in on the sheet on how they're battling. Meanwhile, 3 seconds for Andrew Woodhouse over teammate Adam Barth, who's controlling the next bit of the pack. Still scrapping along. It's here's Kip Stevens going at it with Dominic Savicki. And he's turned Savicki! Savicki gets turned around, and he's going to go and find the Armco barrier. Bang! Into the fence he goes. And that is not brilliant at all. And there's more contact spinning on the outside. And I think Dump on that outside there, just trying to see who that was. That was Chris Dane who gets turned. So everyone not leaving each other any room. The gloves are off and everyone's lost their heads. It's headless chickens at the moment here at Silverstone, and this is the sort of racing that maybe people expected as they went through. Off in the foreground goes one of the year 1 cars. I think that's Hendy there who's run himself into issues, unless it is. Yes, it is Hendy. And also going off there, I think, was Savicki, who's gone off in that same place, and he will look to try and find his rejoin as he dives down onto the lane and will take the slowdown penalty to boot as well. Robin Haase around the outside then of Kip Stevens, and he has to yield. Stevens trying to put a nose down to the inside, not gonna work. Charles Kellyman fighting back for 5th place on the road. Can he make the move sorted? At the moment, no, he can't. Janowski very much his equal at this point in time, but it is Woodhouse and Blake at the front of the field, and to think that only 5 minutes have passed in this race, we still got another 10, and everything's going on. More contact as Jacqueline comes together with James Leggett here, as there is Lee Deemer trying to get in on this, trying to deal with the middle of the pack. There is a breakaway pack, though, being led by Haase, which has got John Roberts in, and there's Wouter van Essen going down the inside of Stevens, and Richard Haynes there at the back of the pack has got to think wisely about the way that he wants to make that move, and for the time being, he does make a good decision there. The gap at the front, 7/10 of a second for Dan Blake. That's his advantage, and he's keeping Woodhouse at bay, but Woody Too Goody wants to gain those positions, and someone who else wants to gain positions, Cedric Nebelshek. He's there with Ashley Beard, who's trying to find a way past Jim Flanagan at the moment in the scraps for the top 20. Here looks Nebelshek down to the inside, and Ashley Beard will very much be his equal through this section as he takes the advantage route and runs and cops the off-track incident point. But now they'll head to Maggots, inside line for Nebelshek. On the brakes they go, into the right-hander, all good. Bit of curb in front there for Jamie Ayers, I do believe it is, as he tries to stay with Jacqueline and Dima and Leggett, as they have their own scrap at the moment out on track. Battle going on though here as Wout van Essen tries to defend from Kip Stevens here on the road, and still for the moment it seems that Kip is going one way, and as backwards gives him a shove through Luffield corner. Get going, Wouter, you're losing the back of the gentleman, and soon he runs into the grass, and now the draft starts to fall away, and Kip could not quite find a way by Janowski though for 4th place, starting to show that prowess of old as he now tries to look and find a way past Mr. Burgess here in the 28th car. And number 4, Julian Janowski, on the brakes he goes, almost giving a tap, but he has to brake there very hard through that section as they fight 4 seconds off of the race lead at the moment. All this fighting has cost everyone here as 2 vehicles to the breakaway. 1 RSO car goes straight on. That's Niels Carstensen, who loses just 2 positions in the end on the exit there, as Joe Mitchell could not take advantage and gain that position in the optical machine. So those optical cars, and there's 5 of them here that are trying to race, are all going to try and do well. One of them is also Andy Maxwell, as his Beard trying to look to the inside and make that move. Can he make it stick though down that inside? You bet he can. So a good position there, and they're almost 3 wide through Luffield just in front as Carl Hardy, the wrecking ball at the moment he was in the opening couple of laps, has to yield to Nebelshek, who's trying to find a way past Lee Dima as well in the next section of track at the moment. Battle for 4th though still going on here. Still Paul Burgess on the defensive run as Janowski looks to the outside here through Maggott's corner and trying to open up the exit as much as possible. But again, a good run on the exit for the yellow car of Paul Burgess's. And now he's going to try and have to defend this because Janowski is going to move straight to the inside here in this battle. And there's not much you can do when Yuli is going to go for that inside line. And Janowski, just like that, has the position. Can Burgess hold the outside line? No, he can't. Janowski up into 4th place. Woodhouse still hoping there's going to be a mistake from Dan Blake. They've got traffic in front in the form of Robert Lundgren, but I'm not sure that they are going to catch, as there is just 6 laps remaining here at this race at Silverstone. And Andrew Woodhouse here is really pushing Dan Blake, but the gap 0.8 of a second at the moment on the road. Here's Peter Van Gool just behind that, battling it out with the gentleman, John Roberts, on the outside, trying to make that move. And no dice up and under. Oh, bit of a bump from the gentleman there. It's not often that he dusts his cane out and starts whacking people, but for the moment, he's going to see Robin Haase just in front, start to slightly pull away. Can he get the boost tape machine down the inside? Oh, he tries. Oh, he tries, but it's not quite there. Wouter van Essen, though, he's going to try and get himself into the mix. And drivers who have struggled here in this one, who are right towards the back, who've made no progress at all, Johnny Braddon and Nicole Foggy, 38th and 39th. So the 2 VRX racers are really struggling here in this race, and they're struggling with incidents as we just had a big moment caught there up on stream, and that was not quite ideal at all as they continue to battle, and still they go off. And I think that was John Roberts there that got caught up. It was, and it was a huge one, heading themselves into the Brooklands corner, and it was a massive bit of contact there, which really did not work at all. So we're going to get a correction in as well. BritTech SimSport and not quite SimTech. That is my fault, not anyone else's. But for the time being, though, still some great scrapping going on all up and down the track as they all look to go in. Jamie Ayres under pressure now as Lee Dima still tries to play that defensive packed card as he tries to go through. Few wide lines in the background, though, as Ashley Beard finds a way through on Niels Carstensen and will try and take Carl Hardy as well to the bank and cash a check-in. Can he get himself a good move? For the moment, no, he can't. But Carstensen's going to say, you know what? This is touring car racing. Let's go 3 wide, don't we? Almost contact just in front of them as well. And just like that, big wide line. Hardy's going to lose out, I think, to the BritTech SimSport car as well of Chris Daines. Very much is down to the inside. Contact with Carstensen. You're not going to give much room to the RSO boys. They want to fight, so we'll fight them every single step of the way as they remain 2 wide in terms of their battle out on track. Just 4 laps then for Dan Blake to hold on as he tries to fend off Andrew Woodhouse, who's not been in any position to attack. Has just been trying to work his way to gaining the position. hasn't quite been able to get there just yet. The Belshek now trying to get onto a top 10 finish very, very soon. This is the battle for 11th with James Leggett. If he can try and find a way down the inside, he'll be very happy with that move. And he does move to the inside of the Booz Ted machine, who does give a lot of room there to the Belshek. And I'm not quite surprised by that one then, as they go on the brakes into the Brooklands corner, and move done then by Nebelchek very, very comfortably. Will gain a lot of points on his rival, Nicole Foggy, who's looking for that reverse grid race, I think, and trying to stay out of trouble here in this one. Haynes looking to try and battle now with Wouter van Essen as the lead breaks over 1 second for the first time. And here comes Haynes, has to move to the outside to make the move. Van Essen was very optimistic there on that inside line. He hit the brakes hard going into Cop's corner, and now they're holding each other up ever so slightly. 8th, 9th, and 10th, and almost soon 11th, 12th to boot as well, as the mid-pack scraps continue here at Silverstone. But Adam Barth now trying to make sure 2 Apex Racing cars with the ERT half-design livery find themselves on that podium, and they'll be very happy if things stay like this. Janowski still trying to get there with Barth. The difference last time by 4/10 Janowski way. So that's going to be crucial in terms of the way that they are going to fight with only 2 laps to go as they next cross the line. So this is going to be a huge scrap going on as everyone's going to start looking. Slides in the background. John Roberts is the one who gets the slide as Carstensen and Danes go at it. Rensport Online versus BritTech Simsport. And for the time being, it is BritTech who get the advantage coming out of that one. But Richard Haynes now looking to the inside here of Van Essen, who did not cover the move on that inside line, will run wide as possible. Nebelchek on the back. Stevens is going to thread the needle. Oh, they gave him room. He ran out of road. Nebelchek gives him a tap as well, as these 4 scrap it out now for a top 10. Who's going to be brave on the brakes? Answer is too brave from Van Essen, who will lose 1 position, 2 positions, and move to the back of the pack. Here comes the Belshek around the outside of Kip Stevens, and they bang door mirrors as they go through and shave and trade some paint as they go through the next section out on track. White flag coming then for Dan Blake, who's pulled away from Andrew Woodhouse. Adam Barth currently in 3rd place, and contact between the Belshek there and Stevens, and Van Essen says, cookies, that's mine. I'm taking that one for free as he goes through. And now James Leggett wants to get back in on this in the battle right down for the top 10 positions as they continue to scrap it out. Meanwhile, the battle for the podium. 3rd place, Julian Janowski, half a second back, needs a mistake from Adam Barth, and he's not quite finding it. Or is he? That's a big missed apex there from Adam Barth, and he's got to run all over the concrete there on the exit because Janowski's now got his half a second. He's now got to think about getting to the inside. Adam Barth's got him covered every step of the way, running him to a channel he cannot go down as he now moves to the inside, trying to take the podium away, and he's got to hope that Barth's gone too deep here, and Barth has not. So good work from Adam Barth, but it is Dan Blake for year 1, who will be happy with this opening year of BSR TCR. He takes the win here in race 2 of the night. Round 5 is Dan Blake's. Andrew Woodhouse will pick 2nd up. Adam Barth will take 3rd ahead of Janowski and Burgess. And more crucially enough, the Belshek able to recover and gain some big points with an 8th place finish overall behind his teammate Robin Haase. Some very, very solid work indeed as they all run themselves over towards the line. Quite a lot in tandem. Lord Murray's going to be under pressure in a drag race. Inside line always favouring the gentleman, John Roberts, who ultimately has been assaulted a little bit more in this race. And that is across the line for him in 26th position overall. But some great racing out there, some hard racing, everybody wanting to get in on the action as both Nicole Foggy and also Johnny Brandon make their ways over to the line. They caught the back of the pack, having had to use their fast repairs even out on this one. They'll have great track position for the final race of the night. But Dan Blake then picks up the big win, 15 minutes, 23 seconds, 1.8 seconds clear of Andrew Woodhouse in 2nd place. Adam Barth makes it 3rd. Apex get 2 on the podium with Julian Janowski 4th and Paul Burgess in 5th place. Charles Kellyman gets 6th with Robin Haase 7th, ahead of his teammate Cedric Nebelchek in 8th place, who made friends with everyone once again. Richard Haynes in 9th with Wouter van Essen rounding out the top 10. Kip Stevens gets 11th with James Leggett in 12th. Carl Jacquelet gets 13th with Ashley Beard in 14th. Lee Deemer, his teammate behind him, in 15th place. Chris Danes for the BritTech Simsport team are in 16th with Jamie Ayres 17th for Momo. Niels Carstensen only 18th with Dan Brown 19th. Carl Hardy rounding out the top 20 for the York squad there. And looking a little bit further down for notable finishers, Jim Flanagan getting 21st, Adam Hedgecock 24th place, Adam McNally only 25th with John Roberts 26th. Steve Hefford, after starting second, can only manage 29th. Adrian Hendy, only 30th position for him. He fell back quite dramatically. Steve Cooley had the lead for all of about 3 seconds and then lost it again. He gets 35th in the end. Nicole Foggy, 34th. Johnny Brandon, 37th position overall through all of that. One retirement being Peter Van Gool, one driver a lap down, Robert Lundgren, but a reverse grid, the final reverse grid of the night. How time flies here on Forever Sim Racing. Make sure if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and hit that like button as well. Really hit that like button, because if you hit that like button, more people are more likely to see this sort of stream, and we want more people indulging in sim racing, no matter what it is, where it may be. Make sure that you help sim racing by hitting the like button. Reverse grid, let's get it up for you right now on your screen. Marco Barbanera will spin the wheel for us, and we'll see where the reverse grid lies. It's a short reverse grid again, the smallest it possibly can be, a 10-car reverse grid. Wouter van Essen then will get himself on pole position. Dan Blake will start from 10th. Cedric Nebelshek will start this one from 3rd position. The wheel has been kind to Rennsport. We'll be back after this.
Swarm. Swarm. Swarm.
As the sunset now comes over Silverstone Circuit National, drivers now start thinking about what happens next week. No issues in terms of grid sizing for that race because we'll be heading who rode in America. It's known as Road America. We'll be heading to Road America for next week's championship round 7 to 9 of the season so far. And what an entertaining season it is shaping up to be at this point in time. You cannot ask for anything more out of this. We've seen drivers up and down the field change their positions, all sorts of scraps, all sorts of bits of contacts. Some say that the champion is going to be the quickest driver who is the best at landmine avoidance. Some may be very, very right. Jake Sperry here in the commentary booth on Forever Sim Racing for you. Joined, of course, with Marco Barbanera on the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. He's done some brilliant cameras again and again and again for us here. And, of course, a massive thanks to everyone who gets it done for us here, especially, of course, to Forcex Design, who have been instrumental in helping out with the graphics, as well as Violet, whose music that you have heard over the course of this broadcast. You can help her out on Spotify and on Bandcamp, and currently GoFund going on, or I believe it's a Kickstarter at the moment to raise a couple of funds. So if you can spare her a few dollars here or there, that would be massively helpful for her cause. But this is race 3. This is the big one. This is the half hour. This is the challenge or the endurance when the 2 sprint races have come along. We've had a really, really nice clean sprint. We've had a really, really dirty sprint. Now what are we going to get over half an hour? Traditionally, as that second 15 minutes comes into view, this race gets cleaner and cleaner and cleaner as the gaps start to open up, and it looks more like traditional base racing instead of the touring car action that we see. But it is worth saying we do love touring car action, and I know personally that I do love racing like this sometimes just for the crash, because sometimes you do have to crash. I think sometimes in sim racing there is a little bit of a tendency at times for people to over-glorify clean racing and clean driving as the be-all and end-all, when you look at all racing across the globe, and no race has ever been 100% clean 100% of the time. But I think that everyone's going to be looking to see who can step up to the next level in this 30-minute race. A small reverse grid doesn't do many people many favors, especially those called Foggy and Brandon at the back of the pack. Nicole Foggy and Johnny Brandon, well, you're going to need a plan, a master plan from the gods if you're going to try and make your way up through the field from 34th and 37th respectively on the starting grid, depending on who's turned up for this final race. But all these drivers fighting for a championship, fighting for some consistent points, and it's that consistency number that's going to be so crucial between now and the end of the season. Quite a few drivers have not found themselves in the best position in the world, but I think quite a few are hoping that it is going to be them who finds themselves in exactly the right position overall to influence the way that the rest of this season is going to pan out. So we are just 30 seconds away then from the big 30-minute race, the big event here, finishing off proceedings at Silverstone Circuit National, Circa 2011. We move towards Road America for round 7 to 9 of the championship. Who takes the bragging rights away from round 6? Who can say that they are in the best position overall? Who can say that this was their event? Well, only time can tell, because time has expired. 1 minute to grid comes up for everybody as follow. So on the pole position then, no shocks about it at all. Wouter van Essen will have it with Richard Haynes alongside. Cedric Nebelschek starts from 3rd with Robin Haase, his teammates, alongside. Charles Kellyman and Paul Burgess are on row 3. Row 4 sees Julian Janowski and Adam Bath. Andrew Woodhouse starts from 9th. Dan Blake rounds out the top 10. Then it's Kip Stevens and James Leggett, Carl Jackalette and Ashley Beardley, Deemer and Chris Daines, Jamie Ayres and Niels Carstensen, Dan Brown, Carl Hardy, and now we start heading back down the order. Row 11, Jim Flanagan and Craig Harris. Then you got Mitchell and Hedgecock, McNally and Roberts, Murray and Sampson, Hefford and Hendy, Maxwell and Jacobson, Bingham, Foggy, Cooley, Savicki, Brandon Ayers and Lundgren, the 39 that will take to the starting grid for this one. Everyone wanting to be gridded up early. Everyone wanting a good result in this final race of the evening. Watch out for Nebelschek. Arguably favourite starting from 3rd. He's got himself 2 very strong results already this evening where other drivers have struggled. 1 minute elapses, lights on top of the iRacing gantry. Let's get ourselves underway. Jump start from Richard Haynes, and he'll have to come down pit road. Let's get ourselves going. He should have just gone, because now look at Robin Haase. What a start from Robin Haase. He's straight through the middle and into the race lead then in the opening corner, and Nebelshek will try and follow through in second position to make it Rensport 1-2. They head through the opening section as Richard Haynes really balked up that start, and he will be so frustrated with the way that that one went in terms of what he knows that he is capable of doing as they run to Maggots for the very first time. Rensport online in complete control. Big lunge already from Adam Barth as he tries to go down the inside. He's made contact there down the field with another one of those vehicles. I think Woodhouse has come together there with, I believe, Charles Kellyman, and they've dropped 10 positions each in terms of their scrap. They're 3 wide, though, trying to come in as Nebelshek takes the lead. Robin Haase will play rear gunner. Van Essen currently there in 3rd position at the moment as positions now start to change. Burgess and Blake are having a fight, as well as also Ashley Beard on the inside of Luffield trying to go through, and just like that, 1 lap of the 30 scored complete then here at Silverstone as they start weaving around, looking for positions to go out and strike. Richard Haynes going defensive here with Julian Janowski. He's got a drive-through penalty. He'll have to come down onto the lane. I don't see why he's defending at this point in time, as Janowski now has kicked Hairflick Stevens just behind, who tries to get in on the action. Just behind that is James Leggett trying to find a way through his boosted machine against the Brit Tech car, trying to find a way through. And there's the mistake from the year 1 team, and also a bit more wiggling here as the cold tyres need to get up to temperature. So Daint in the Brit car has done well there against James Leggett. Dan Blake was the one who made the mistake as Dan Brown and Niels Carstensen. They continue on their way and have their scrap as the Brit Tech Simsport car has done just about enough to hold position just for the time being. Wide goes Beard, though, and he's got to bring it back together as there's a spin in front, and that's Janowski who gets the tap there, and that tap came from Richard Haynes, and Haynes might be in trouble here if he's left out on the outside looking in, and there was a dangerous rejoin there into the middle of the track as they freight train Janowski. Look to go through. I think Janowski finds himself behind an old friend. That's Adam Barth. He's already made a little bit of friends with him already today as Carstensen and Ayres, and Dan Brown now starts looking down to the inside, looking to try and make that position. Has he got the move sorted? Yes, he has. And also following through is Jamie Ayres. 2 positions gone. Almost Ryan Hunter Ray-like. The RSO car decides, Niels Carstensen, I want to go down the inside. I want to make the move. Vehicle goes off just in front of them as they all go 6s and 7s. Brown involved there with the boost end machine. Richard Haynes went off there in the background. Stevens now finds himself in 4th, but the top 3 have broken away. Nebelshek, Haase, and Van Essen. It's a continental affair at the moment, as we got the German, and also the Dutchman all out there at the moment on track in their position. So keep an eye on that as the top 3 have fully broken away. Where in all of this, though, is the likes of Nicole Foggy, because Foggy at the moment, I put him down along with Dan Brown. Of course, technically teammates. VXR is different. In comes Haynes to serve that drive-through penalty, which he's copped for jumping the start. And that is now Foggy up 12 positions in the opening 3 laps then of this event. The fight for 4th on at the moment. Kip Stevens trying to get through on Paul Burgess. Burgess found his way through at Cops, and just like that, straight through as well goes Ashley Beard up into 5th place. He's got to try and chase down the chasing pack. Ashley Beard's had a great night here tonight so far, but Stevens is not going to give this one up. He's got all the draft from Burgess as both of them are closing in as they make their way to Brooklands Corner, which has been the big side to the big incident all race long and all weekend long, so to speak, as one of the RSO cars gets put under pressure. Carstensen and Adam Barth going at it, and Barth's going to try and run the outside line, and they come together. Bit of netco contact, and he's turned him. Carstensen's been turned. Adam Barth's got to find track again, and he just about does so as he gets graciously let onto the circuit, but loses so much time. It can go away just like that. That's 20 positions gone in the blink of a proverbial eye as Ashley Beard moves up into 4th and is fending off Paul Burgess now, trying to hope that he can break away through. Oh, they come together on the brakes into Maggots, and they hold it somehow as they go through. They've got to be careful about that they don't run themselves into any more issues. Burgess there in 5th place. Stevens 6th. Danes, Ayers, and Janowski all there. 6 different teams split by 6 drivers. That just tells you how good they are at the moment. RSO Optical at the front of the field, and the 2 RSO cars doing well. And running wide is Chris Danes in the Brit Simtech car. The BritTech SimSport car, as I will get that name right at some point in time. Running wide there off the exit there is Kip Stevens. He had nowhere to go, and now he's thinking about the inside at Woodcote, and he'll have no opportunities to go out there and make that move. A little bit further down in the pack, Carl Jacquelet in his scrap. Craig Harris trying to get in on this. There's the gentleman, John Roberts, with Dominic Savicki also trying to get in on the mix. Savicki's got great pace, and Johnny Brandon is just behind in that as well, as Nicole Foggy has moved up 20 positions now, up into 14th place. He's storming through this field. Keep an eye on Foggy in the VXR car. He's going to try and make that push against Steve Hefford as the Audi RS3s continue on for more laps here around this track at 1/5 distance. Board already complete then in this race. Hefford doing well. Vehicle turnaround though, and that is Julian Janowski who's found himself around. He got himself good off of the exit there, and I'm just trying to see, was there any contact, or did he just go, oh my word, it looks like the brakes just completely went on the vehicle. It seems like it was a complete hardware failure for Janowski. He just slammed the brakes, or even worse, slammed the handbrake and went around. So that was not a good plan at all. Just like that, Janowski's race all but done for this evening. It's not been the Julian Janowski of old that used to win championships. Here's Nicole Foggy trying to get through on Steve Hefford, but Hefford decides, I'm going to use the best defensive tactic I know, going down the inside of Charles Kellyman, getting the position. So Charles Kellyman drops back 1 and very nearly 2, as Foggy will now pick his moment, try and make the move. Hard on the brake goes. Behind him is Lorne Murray, another Scotsman, trying to get in on the act. So the Scots are out in force, trying to make this battle known and make themselves known at the moment. But it is still Nebelshek who leads this race at the front of this field. Still though, Steve Hefford having to defend this one. Foggy down to the inside. He's just managed to manufacture a lane, as running wide goes the Momo car of Hefford. Is there 2 for your mistakes, dummy? No, there is not. But around the outside, Foggy will try. He's not going to find it like that. He's a great run off of the exit, and he uses all of his road tax and a bit more, trying to angle to the inside. Hefford did not cover the move. He knew that Foggy was quicker, just like that. Position there for Nicole Foggy, who moves up into 11th position overall and is absolutely storming here through this field. And this is what we expected from him. This is a recovery drive to salvage points in damage limitation mode to the man who leads this race overall, Cedric Nebelshek. Those two will have a systemic rivalry throughout this season, which will continue, of course, in the next 3 rounds at Road America. But still, Chris Dane in the battle for 7th and 8th, trying to get past Jamie Ayers in the Momo car, trying to deal with the battle here. On the brakes they go, and Ayers is trying to find everything he can. Not quite there. He's on the brakes to Luffield corner, and Jamie Ayres loses the position then. So Chris Danes starting to make those moves. Nally on an island on his own. Next up for Nicole Foggy to break the top 10. He's got to get past Woody Too Goody here. Andrew Woodhouse, and this is not going to be the easiest challenge in the world. He's Yorkshire born and Yorkshire bred, and he knows just exactly how good he's going to be as he looks to try and make those moves. It could be Lancashire, I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, any which way, Cedric Nebelshek's going to try and push Haase in second. Van Essen is starting to struggle in third position. 1 second has been dropped, and just like that, 1 second going away is the biggest disaster for Van Essen in this race. If he loses Haase's draft, that's it. Rennsport Online can do what they do best, what they've done in VLNs for years and years and years, and in almost every series they find themselves in, they can find a way to win a race. Big battle though. Here's Foggy down the inside, and oh, he made that look so easy. Andrew Woodhouse really let off, and almost a free gift there for Steve Hefford as they go side by side. The luminous green there against the yellow in terms of the tyre rim battle. But here comes the attempt coming out of the corner then for Steve Hefford. He's trying everything to pull himself back into play. Kellyman there along with Lorne Murray. Can this move be made as they go on towards Cops Corner to start their 10th lap of this race? At the end of that lap, They'll hit a third distance in this one overall. No dice through Cops, but towards Maggots. I think Steve Hefford is going to find that chance. He's there on the outside, which turns so quickly to the inside. And what can you do, Andrew Woodhouse? You've just been beaten on the brakes, and there's not much you can say about that one overall. A little battle, though, further down the pack. Joe Mitchell has run off wide at the Maggots corner. This is going to cost him here. This is Andy Maxwell, his teammate here in the optical car, trying to find a way through. And he can't quite get there because Adrian Hendy is going to try and get in on this as well. 21st, 22nd, on the brakes they go. Around the outside they try. Can they find the magic moment to make the move happen? Down the inside tries Maxwell this time. And I think Joe Mitchell's going to have to give up because there's also Adam Barth trying to get back through the pack here and get through after his big spin he had with Niels Carstensen. And he's got one here as Adam Barth. The position was gained there by Andy Maxwell, but now the optical cars have got to work together here to stop Adam Barth. But when you dive down the inside, there's not much you can do. Give him room, just about. Position gain there for Adam Barth. He'll be very happy with that position as all of a sudden Jamie Ayers under pressure. Adam McNally now in the battle for 8th place overall. McNally knows what he's capable of doing, and what can the Toonside boy find as he looks to try and go for the inside. Half the door open, not going to quite need it. He's been more sideways than the Excite Rallycross team at Latvia the other day. So now he's got to find a little bit more if he wants to try and make that move and get through past Jamie Ayers. Can he find that magical unlock in the next section of track? We'll think about that for a moment because Robin Haase, remember, for this race lead, has not fallen away from Cedric Nebelshek. He's been very happy sitting behind at about half a second, letting this race run by in case a wild Nicole Foggy appears. They've got him in terms of battling. McNally now going to try and go to the outside turn inside at Maggots. He'll lose the advantage initially, but on the brakes, he'll come in. He's gone too deep. He catches the rear there of a certain Mr. Jamie Ayers, who drops the position, and now Nicole Foggy's all over them and will try and pounce. And look at this, there's no top end at the moment from Ayers, who's trying to recover, and just like that, here's Nicole Foggy down the inside, looking for 8th position, 2 for 1 offer maybe. Oh, he's going to try and get McNally. They come together ever so slightly. McNally trying to get back down the inside here and fight this one against the ever relentless tide that is Nicole Foggy moving through. And just like that, XVR gets its way through. And just like that, Nicole Foggy can be very pleased with that move. But McNally does give it up as he redresses the position in the end over to Jamie Ayers, and that is good sportsmanship there from Adam McNally, and he knew that he needed to do so at that point in time. So good work there in terms of those two working at it together as the mid-pack continues to scrap. Adam Barth trying to deal with Andy Maxwell here in his battle as wide goes Joe Mitchell in the background. This will allow Dan Brown the chance to find a way through as and when he can take it. And can he take it? No, he cannot. So Joe Mitchell holding on to position. This group involves 2 Boosted cars, James Leggett and Adam Hedgecock. There's Adam Barth, there's Andy Maxwell. They're all having their nice scrap, but McNally's going to try again to make this move cleanly this time here on Jamie Ayers. Can he get it done around the outside of Blufffield corner? I think he's looking for a big up and under. Gets a bit of grass on the exit, though. That would have not done the turning circle any good. It's got a good turning circle, but when you put it on the grass, it turns probably about as bad as a battle tank. And that much says all you need to know as he tries to find a way through on the inside at turn 1. No dice at that stage, but keep an eye on the battle going on for 5th place on the road, because Paul Burgess is unable to pull away here from Kip Stevens in the Automech car. Stevens is really, really in a good position right now to try and bring down that gap to Burgess. It was half a second. It looks like he's using the draft well to his advantage, and he knows just as such. The halfway stage, score complete. The next lap by, not this one, the next one. So that will be what will be next in the mind for them. They've done half a race already. How do you attack now the final half of this race and get the results that you want? And Ayers is back through, actually, on Adam McNally, and did so down the inside at Brooklands corner as they fought incredibly hard for half a lap through turn number 1. And you know what? They're still going at it here because McNally's got the inside of Woodcote. This is a titanic scrap between 2 great drivers who probably are gearing up to try and be future champions in Sunday Cup as long as this one lives. But just like that, Ayers comes back at him at Cop's corner. This is brilliant stuff. They may be allowing Steve Hefford and Andrew Woodhouse into this scrap, but they are not going to care one iota. Round the outside, tries McNally, and he gets the position just for the moment. Good work between those two. That was some very strong, good scrapping at the moment, out on track, and they knew it was good scrapping. Keep an eye as well on these battles, because they know that they've got everything to gain and also everything to lose as well at the same time. Hedgecock, Leggett, and Dan Brown going at it. Brown trying to go to the outside, boost head into each other, and just like that, Hedgecock let through, and just like that, oh, squeak through. I'm going to try and redress that. Maxwell takes one as Leggett decides, well, the redress ain't worth it. You're taking 3 years out there in the gravel. I'll keep going. So Adam Hedgecock loses one to Hendy and to Flanagan. It was James Leggett gains a position through all of that. Great scrapping between them right now. Andrew Woodhouse trying to find the way through on Steve Hefford. Can he get down to the inside? Would he too? Goody looking for the charge. On the brakes goes. Can he slow it up? Yes, you bet he can. And he's got the move on the Momo car. 2 Momo cars in the train, but Hefford's going to come straight back. Vehicle is lap traffic off on the left-hand side, and that is Cooley getting out of the way, and rightfully so. He's doing well to stay out of trouble. Big switchback move to the inside, and so unconfident on the braking zone there is Andrew Woodhouse, but he picks it up on the exit. Got to be careful. They've allowed both Savicki, Murray, and Johnny Brandon, the man with a plan, to get back into play. So they've done really well to pull themselves back into position. But Kip Stevens is under pressure now because Chris Danes has caught the pair of them, that being Burgess as well, in the scrap going on for 5th place at the moment out on track. So what can Kip do to hold this off? He's in Schrodinger's overtake as Charles Kellerman has the big disconnect technical issue, and he will be pretty much out of it as Nicole Foggy jumps on the back of the train as well. Stevens needs to make the move soon, otherwise he is going to be VXR racer and Brittech Sim Sports soup at this stage. What can he think about? Maybe a move to the inside. Mr. Burgess, you're going to have to defend this, and he does so. Great on the defense, and Danes around the outside here of Kip Stevens. And, well, you can look everywhere. You can look in the Bermuda Triangle for that move, because Stevens has decided, well, if I'm not going to get through, I'll let them get through for me. I'll use them as a lockpick like Max Verstappen in 2015 and try and get that move sorted. So that's good work. Battle for the podium, though, very much on as Robin Haase has taken the lead away from Cedric Nebelshek, the 2 Rennsport boys. No team orders between them. They will race hard for this one all to the end. But Wouter van Essen under pressure. Here is Ashley Beard trying to find the move then for 3rd place. Wide line taken by Van Essen. Can he pick it up on the exit? You can do so here at Maggotts, but look at the run that Beard's got. And he's going to get all 4 tyres over the white line and moves back across to open up the position to make the move. Van Essen has no argument here in terms of this defense as Ashley Beard moves Excite Energy into the podium right when they need to. Nebelshek, though, still needs to scrap hard here. It's a matter of tyre conservation here in this big, long 30-minute race. Trying to find a way through on Robin Haase. The gap when they cross the line is just 0.3 of a second between them, as Nebelshek does need to find a way past Haase. Got to get maximum points, and maybe the toughest challenge is to get by your teammate. Your teammate knows exactly what you've got, exactly what you're capable of doing, and that might just be what we're looking at here for Cedric Nebelshek. He moves himself through the Maggotts corner. Does he get a good run off of the exit? You bet he does. The Rennsport boys 7.5 seconds clear of Ashley Beard in 2nd position, as Nicole Foggy and also Chris Danes have just motored through the pack that they've tried to go through. They were side by side. They were 3 wide actually into Brooklands that last time by, and Foggy went round the outside of Luffield and Cop's corner to make the move. What a move from Nicole Foggy. Gain himself that position. He'll try and catch Van Essen and also Ashley Beard in the remaining time, but the race league battle still very much on between 2 Rennsport Online teammates. Here comes Cedric Nebelshek. No, he backs out of it there into Cop's corner. He thought better of it there at that point to attack your teammate at Cop's, but maybe if he gets a good run off the exit, he might have a chance at Maggotts or maybe at Brooklands. Brooklands is the prime overtaking opportunity out on track. And they do have traffic in front of them as well that they're going to have to negotiate in just a few moments' time out there on the road. So keep an eye on that battle for the race lead, as there's almost contact between John Roberts and Carl Jacquelet for 16th and 17th at the moment, right on the back of a very long train, all going for the top 10. Haase, though, loses out the race lead, though. Nebelshek was very clearly down the inside, and a lift of the brake early then from Robin Haase. Says, Sedi Bear, go back through. You've got the race lead, but I'm not going to make life easy for you. I'm going to sit here and wait for the mistakes that you made last round at Laguna Seca, especially in round 3 of the championship. So we'll go backwards in the pack, because still Jacquelet fights it out here with John Roberts. You've got Lord Murray, Steve Hefford, Jamie Ayres, all on the back of Savicki and Brandon and Woodhouse and McNally. Seems that Johnny Brandon's plan is starting to become stuck a little bit as he sits on the outside looking in of the top 10, being guarded by Woody Too Goody, Andrew Woodhouse, as Woodhouse now trying to defend this one on the outside into Cops. Oh, he chopped the nose beautifully through turn 1 there, and really nowhere to go but the inside line. And questions on a slow down penalty, answers on a postcard. Nope, there's no postcards here, no slow down penalty. On the brakes they go into the Maggots corner. Is there going to be any chance for a move as they are into the final 10 minutes here of this race? McNally in a good position here, try and play defense as Woodhouse survives, but now Savicki wants in here on Johnny Brandon. They started next to each other, 37th and 36th. Now 11th and 12th respectively, as look at that, big lunge to the inside. Where did that come from, Woody? You're not good at that corner. He goes around the outside, dupes everyone, including me at that stage, but runs it far too deep onto the marbles, and now allows the XVR car try and make a way through, as Johnny Brandon finally gets the pick he was looking for and goes down the inside, and it might just be a pick 6. Oh, he runs right up to the paint there, does Andrew Woodhouse, saying, I'm not letting this one go without a fight. Fight's over, my friend, unless he gets a good run off the exit, and my goodness, he does. What a run from Woody here. He came to fight as he goes for the inside then at Maggots corner. Can he slow it down? Can you slow it down? Don't hit the Excite car. He gets away with it, but up and under. Johnny Brandon says, all part of my plan, sir. He gets the position and now focuses very squarely on Adam McNally, who may have just left the door open here with the draft wide open. Look to the inside then from Johnny Brandon, who looks to try and open up for 9th place as well. McNally running the outside rallycross line, no good, and he's got to hold on the next position, and he does so. So good scrapping there in that mid-pack scrap, looking for top 10s as they go overall. Your leaders at the moment remain 0.3 of a second apart, with just 8 laps remaining here at Silverstone on the eve. In sim time, 19:37, and some say, ooh, time travel. But for the moment, it's going to be some very good scrapping here. Paul Burgess has not left Chris Danes. This for 6th and 7th, and Burgess can't get the run down on the inside, so you will have to play the patience game and wait for a better opportunity to present itself. Talking of opportunities, big contact there just behind as Hefford goes straight on, Murray goes straight on, and there goes down the inside of all of them Carl Jacquelet for year 1. They'll go 3 wide all the way to Brooklands Corner on their 23rd revolution of the track. So what can you do on the outside? Jacquelet, Hefford there on the inside. Murray wisely backs out in the Automet car, but will try and pick up the exit. Nowhere to go, gets a bit of a tap there from the Boost Ted machine. And again, 3 wide at Lutfield, never truly works. And there's the contact, the netcode contact. And Murray gets the tap as well. See you later, says the gentleman John Roberts, who will run for the hills after that little escapade, as he will do so well to get through. Danes runs wide, though, in the battle for 6th place, as Paul Burgess again, hoping that he's got a chance to get away through. Cannot find it at the moment, but in front of him, Nicole Foggy looking for 4th position. He's caught Wouter Van Essen, and Van Essen I don't think's got anything that he can truly fight back with. Nicole Foggy's been running 1 minute dead, trying to chase him down. Big move to the outside line. Try and get this one done. Van Essen can't carry the speed on the inside. He was pinched, and Nicole Foggy is showing a masterclass in how to overtake drivers out on track. Maybe only one vehicle he can catch left. That's Ashley Beard, but he's 3 seconds down the road, and I think even that may just be a tall order then for Nicole Foggy. Try and get down that final position and really gain that place. But You never know when it comes to the BSR TCR. We've seen crazier things happen. Crazy things like teammates coming together, perhaps. Maybe Rensport Online are going to be clever about the way that they finish this race here. They know exactly what they need to do, and they've got to race to the best of their abilities. Nebelshek leads, Haase in second, but will Haase pass up the chance of a race victory? Wide goes Nebelshek, but he gathers it up on the exit there. Two more bits of lap traffic to deal with. One car Hardy, one Lee Diemer. Both of them have to be careful, and a great run there by Robin Haase coming off the exit of the corner, and a big wide line taken here, and that's a gift of a position. Haase will take the lead. They're playing games with each other. This is going to be so interesting, and if this goes pear-shaped, then who's going to take the cop? Who's going to take the blame between them here? Because this is what racing's about. Two teammates scrapping it out, not like Schumacher and Barrichello in 2002, letting positions go at Austria. Oh no, sir. Here comes Paul Burgess, though, a little bit further back, looking for the move at Kops, and he can't quite get there. He thought about making it, but he was just a little bit short. Jamie Ayers and John Roberts going at it together. Ayers can't find a way past Roberts just yet, but he's got to think about now, where's the next place to make my Momo cars move? Because there's Carl Jacquelet trying to get back in on this as well. John Roberts unable to break away, vehicle slow on the inside. That's Adrian Hendy who's lapped down, trying to get out of the way. In terms of traffic, no dice then. In terms of the changes of position, in terms of the move, just for the time being. Some great scrapping, some great racing, and still it continues at the moment. Burgess trying to find himself any which way to make the move, and for the time being, still cannot find it against Chris Dane. The gap at the front, a quarter of a tenth of a second, as Nebelshek now has got to think about which way do I go to make this move? When do I decide to strike? Because around here, unfortunately, despite how draft heavy it is, despite how short it is, despite how high speed it is, there's no guarantees on what constitutes the big victory here, as Nebelshek gets a good run with the draft. Does he think about making the move to the inside on Robin Haase? He thinks about it. Will Haase let him go on the brakes? Will we play the game of chicken? No, we won't. Nebelshek is down the inside, and Cedric Nebelshek now picks up the lead once again. Haase trying to go around the outside. That's not going to work, and he's going to drop a bit of time, but pick it all up then on the exit as he tries to put the power down early. Car understeers a lot, under throttle, so you got to be careful about how early you decide to pick up that power, as Burgess behind still looks for the move. Woodhouse under pressure here. Adam McNally, and they are fighting this one out 11th, 12th, and Woody has got through on McNally, and I wonder what's wrong with McNally's car potentially. These cars are made like bricks. You can bash them into each other and they won't even dent, they won't even scratch. You could even throw maybe even the Hoover Dam at them and they wouldn't break. And in fact, the Hoover Dam, which is indestructible almost, will certainly break first. But here is Paul Burgess trying to find a way through, trying to hope that there's a chance to gain up into 6th place, but still nothing quite doing. They're both catching Wouter van Essen at a rate of knots, though. That might be what they're thinking about, but time is so of the essence. They don't have long. You've also got Kip Stevens and Johnny Brandon going at it, but wide goes Danes, and Burgess with another opportunity here to go out there and make the move, to go out there and gain the one position which he needs as big points to come out of this event after a good 4th place finish, a 5th place finish in the race 2, to get some big points on the offing. No dice then at the moment as they continue to try and scrap, but Haase and Nebelshek, 2 laps to sort this one out between 2 teammates, and they've got that battle in front between Lee Diemer and Anthony Jacobson. This is going to be a really tough battle between them, and they've got to be so careful that they don't get caught up in this the wrong way. Nebelshek goes hard to the inside. Haase's decided to wait, and this might just be the bit that hurts them the most. Haase, though, is using the draft, and where do you go, Robin? Where do you go? He's been boxed in here by the traffic. Does not know which way Robin Haase wants to go. They're still in their scrap, and they are entitled to have that scrap, mind you, here on track, and this is completely throw Robin Haase's chance of victory straight away in the garbage. Nebelshek has got lucky with traffic, and he's a lap away now from Sanctum and from a big, big victory indeed. The battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th still potentially on as 8th, 9th, and 10th try and close in for 11th, though. McNally still trying to find a way around the outside of Andrew Woodhouse. Bit of contact, netcode involved, bit more contact, and there was no netcode involved in that one as they go through. Woodhouse very much happy with the way that he battled, happy with the way that he got through, and he's done well to keep that position the way it is. Van Essen looking like he's not going to be caught in time by Chris Daines, Paul Burgess, and Johnny Brandon, who's done so well to get onto the back of the train. But it's all about these final few corners as Robin Haase and Cedric Nebelshek round themselves through Brooklands. Now Luffield comes along next. Teddy Bear, you've got another one in your pocket. This is to silence the critics who say that Rennsport Online can't race. They've raced fantastically with each other. It will be Nebelshek who will put the photo finish on together. 1-2, Rennsport Online. Nebelshek and Haase get the form finish that works for them. Ashley Beard has been sensational this weekend. He gets a 3rd place finish for his troubles as Nicole Foggy gets damage limitation in 4th place. 5th will go to Van Essen ahead of Chris Daines, but Johnny Brandon has stolen one on the last lap, and he's got it down the inside at the Brooklands corner, and he's done so against Burgess as they cross the start-finish line. Some good racing to the end, and I believe that is Adam McNally and Andrew Woodhouse just finishing ahead of John Roberts there, and he gets wrecked over the start-finish line, which is a big shame for him, but he did so well in the late stages try and gain those positions as the final few drivers will now make their way over the start-finish line. Official classified results are up on your screen. So it's Cedric Nebelshek who picks up the win, 30 minutes, 18 seconds exactly as he goes and gets the win. Robin Haase will finish off in 2nd position, just 0.066 behind in the form finish. Ashley Beard gets 3rd ahead of Nicole Foggy, who went from 34th all the way to 4th there in that final race, with Wout van Essen off in 5th position after starting on the pole. Chris Daines gets 6th place in the end, with Johnny Brandon moving up into 7th on the final couple of corners. Paul Burgess losing out into 8th, with Dominic Savicki a quiet race to 9th. Kip Stevens rounding out the top 10. Adam McNally, Andrew Woodhouse, and John Roberts so well together, 11th, 12th, and 13th as they battled over to the line. Carl Jacquelet gets 14th with Lord Murray 15th. And then you got Dan Brown, Jamie Ayres, Adam Barth in 18th, Steve Hefford, and Adam Hedgecock rounding out the top 20. You look further down, like some Niels Carstensen in 22nd. You got Jim Flanagan 24th, Dan Blake 25th, who had a win in the opening race, in the second race, did not go well in race number 3. Final driver on the leading lap was David Ayres. He finished just behind Richard Haynes, who had to serve a drive-through penalty for jumping the start. And then you got the likes of lap down Lee Deemer, Anthony Jacobson, Carl Hardy, Michael Bingham, Joe Mitchell. 2 laps down was Adrian Hendy. Cooley failed to finish, as did Kellyman, as did Julian Janowski. Well, some brilliant battling that we've seen here today on Forever Sim Race. But the curtain comes to a close here with action that we have seen. Some brilliant scrapping all throughout this one, and a massive thanks to those that get it done. Of course, the British Sim Racers for coming along with Forever Sim Racing into this wonderful partnership and bringing in some brilliant racing once again, as we will go in 1 week's time to Road America for round 7 to 9 of the championship. Make sure you tune in for that one. But another big thanks goes out, of course, to Forcex Designs, who have been pivotal in terms of their sponsorship, in terms of what they have been capable of doing. It's more than important that you go and help out Violet, who's been using her music here on broadcast, songs that you can catch, which have been used today, Convergence and Monolith to a Halcyon. You can catch on Spotify and Bandcamp. There is also a Kickstarter that she's put up at the moment. Make sure that you help her out as she tries to sort a few things out for herself. But for the time being, that's Marco Barbanera, who's been on the cameras. I've been Jake Sperry, and it is the Nebelshek's round as he leaves here with a victory, an 8th, and a 3rd to boot as well. I think he'll be very happy with the way that he's run this race, and I might even have to correct myself ever so slightly on this. But I think Nebelshek now has really taken the fight to Nicole Foggy, who had a poor second race. I think this championship is wide open, as it should be, as reverse grid racing should be, and a whole host of names can find themselves at the top at any given point in time. Make sure you tune in for more action, same time, same place next week Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we all are forever.